Test, test, test. Mic check, 1, 2. All right, camera. Hey everybody, welcome to the event. So this isn't the official part, so don't get too excited. This is just me welcoming everybody. If you haven't already, there's a big table full of food. If you happen to miss that when you came in, I'd be surprised. It's the first thing I see. If you haven't yet, stop off at the Emerald and the West Hill table. The Emerald table is your registration. Learn more about this fantastic nonprofit news. And on the blue table, come learn about fantastic nonprofit community organization, including all the events coming up soon. And we have Joel and Isaac over at the West Hill table. Wave. Excitedly, and at the Emerald table, we have Skylar Mega Wave. All right, they're here to take care of you today. And where are my volunteers, the rest of my volunteers from West Hill Community Association and South Seattle Emerald at? Yeah, I see Florangela back there, and I see other Emerald staffers back there. Yes, so all those folks are wonderful people you can talk to about either organization, and they do fantastic work. In addition to two great local organizations, we are represented here today by a ton of Skyway restaurants. So we want to thank those Skyway restaurants for getting up early this morning and helping cater for us today. They did a great job. You can learn more about them on the signage on the table, and there's some cards and things there too. I'm Devin. I'm with the West Hill Community Association, formerly with the Emerald, so this is a little bit of a hybrid for me. Loving this so much. This is a dream team to have these two groups to come together, so you're kind of witnessing some magic happening. There's going to be plenty of time in this beginning part to get food, to get settled, to meet your neighbors, to chat. We're going to have the candidates take the stage about 1 o'clock, and then from 1 to 2, we're going to have a moderated conversation with a little bit of lightning round Skyway Trivia, so if you know the answers, please hang on to those. They will be playing for a Nevzat's gift card, and I know you all know how important that is, right? So we want them to win fair and square. We're gonna start with a musical performance though, so I'm super, super excited to welcome to the stage a local rising star who has graced some of the most important stages in the Seattle area, and we are so lucky to have her here today to share her talents with us. Please give a big, big round of applause. Stomp your feet for Amani Tompkins.
Okay, I am unfortunately sad to announce this will be the last piece that I will be playing. I will announce it because it's a pretty famous song called Ashokan Farewell that was performed in the Civil War movie, so I hope you all enjoy. Woo!
Thank you, Amani! Amani, where can we learn more about your work?
So there's a lot of places. Number one is definitely Instagram. I am currently serving as principal chair for SciSo's My Southeast ensemble. So if you go to SeattleYouth-SymphonyOrchestra.org, you'll be able to find me there. I also have a lot of performances at Royale Hall. So if you go on Royale Hall's website, you'll see my face in there. And those are just a few places. Also STG, I currently serve as a STG ambassador and performer. So at the Paramount, the Moore, Neptune, you will see me perform there.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to what we know is going to be a great informative discussion here as we meet and hear from our candidates running for King County Executive. Yay! Exactly. All right, so our two candidates who will be joining us today, telling us why we should vote for them, will be joined by two current King County council members, Councilmember Claudia Balducci and Councilmember Girmay Zahilay. Yes, so we're looking forward to this informative, enlightening conversation. But before we go any further, we have a few housekeeping notes. First, there are restrooms to the left of the stage. Restrooms are up there. You can go up those stairs. And we also have a ramp here for access to the restrooms. So they are there. You may have noticed that there's food here. Yes, exactly. So while you're here, please enjoy some nibbles. And just know that there are trash cans here as well en route to the restrooms over on the left. And we also have someone who will be taking some photos here. There's a photographer right there waving over on the right. And so most of the photos are going to be of events that happen up here, but there might be some audience members in them. But if you don't want to be photographed and you see the photographer, just hold your hand up, wave, and we'll make sure that you are not in a photo. All right, great. Today's event is a joint effort of the South Seattle Emerald, a free online nonprofit news outlet that amplifies authentic narratives of Black and Brown folks in South Seattle and the surrounding region, and the West Hill Community Association, a volunteer-powered nonprofit that serves people in unincorporated King County's Skyway West Hill neighborhoods, and it also acts as a conduit to their elected officials. So thanks to both groups. Thank you. While we're giving out thanks, I want to give out a couple other shout outs. I'm going to give one to our beautiful, fantastic person working the strings up here, Amani Tompkins. Great work. And also to Albert Talley High School. Yay, Otters! For hosting us. And also a big shout out to all the venues that have been feeding us and providing a great lunch. So I'm gonna tell you who they are, yeah? All right. We got Mai's Vietnamese Sandwiches and Deli.
Woo!
Beachcomber Sports Bar and Grill. Angel City Deli.
Woo!
Selima Specialties.
Yeah.
Crazy Corn. Winnie's Cafe and Deli.
Yes.
And a local nonprofit, It Takes a Village. All right, so now I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Rosette Royale, and I'm the managing editor of the South Seattle Emerald.
Woo!
And I'll be the co-moderator for this forum and panel. And I am going to be joined by someone I'm so excited this person is here with me as a co-moderator, Hermon Mekuria. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Hello, my name is Hermon Mekuria. I'm a high school senior in Renton High School and a Skyway resident. I am also an officer for Journalism Club, and we have our team over here.
Yay, Journalism Club.
Which high school did you say again?
Renton. All right, great. So now the two of us, Mon and I, will trade off asking questions of our candidates, and we're going to make sure that we move this forum along at a good pace and get through a number of topics and things, all right? But before we go any further and we dive into this forum, I think it's a good idea to talk a little bit about what the King County Executive does. Yeah, right? So in short, the executive acts as the chief executive officer or CEO of the county, right? And they do a lot of things, all right? Here are just a short list of their duties. They prepare and oversee the county budget, and the current 2025 county budget is roughly $10 billion. A year. Thank you. A year. $10 billion a year. All right. They act as administrators to manage services in King County, like the Public Health Department, regional planning, parks and trails, and metro transit. They ensure municipal services such as basic utilities, road maintenance, and stormwater management reach people in unincorporated King County. They address public safety, address the operation of jails and juvenile detention centers and the King County Sheriff's Office. And if we face a countywide emergency, they help coordinate an emergency response. And when the King County Council passes legislation, the county executive helps to implement those laws. And that's just a little bit of what they do.
Let's make it easy.
Yes,
Executive is the mayor. Is the mayor of the place that we're in right now.
exactly. So you can think of executive as mayor of King County mayor.
Skyway.
Skyway too. All right, so you can keep all that in mind as we hear from our candidates. And so now sounds like a good time to meet them. So we'll take a little time to have each one introduce themselves. They'll have up to 1 minute to make opening statements. Some of you may have noticed that we flipped a coin up here to decide who's going to start. And the person who called heads in won heads, was Councilmember Balducci. So we'll have you start, please.
Thank you so
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for the warm welcome, the wonderful food, the musical performance. This is not your average community forum. It's just lovely to be here to talk to you today. My name is Claudia Balducci. I'm running for King County Executive. I currently serve as the King County Council member for District 6, which covers a large chunk of East King County, most of Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, Mercer Island, and the Points communities. I'm a former city council member for the city of Bellevue and a former mayor of the city of Bellevue. And I'd like to introduce myself because when I say all that Bellevue, I think people must think she's very wealthy. And I'm not very wealthy. I come from a family of public servants. My mom is a retired elementary school teacher who incidentally is coming through hip surgery this week. So if you could spare a kind thought for my mom as she recovers. My one and only sibling, my brother, is a retired New York City firefighter, and I myself am a public servant who has worked for King County for over 25 years. I started at the ground level as a labor relations professional. I have already run out of time. I'm just going to say a final sentence, if I may. What I am running for is because I believe, with all the experience I've had in local government, that if we do our job, we make people's lives better, and that's what I want to do as county executive. Thanks for the overview.
Great, thank you.
How long do we get? You get
1 minute for the opening statement.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, South Seattle Emerald, West Hill Community Association, Albert Talley High School for having us. My name is Girmay, Zahilay. I'm the chair of the King County Council, and I'm your council member for this district that we're sitting in right now. For those of you who don't know me, my story begins before I was born. Came here as a refugee when I was 3, settled down in South Seattle, Skyway area, and experienced all of the challenges and opportunities that neighborhoods like this provide. I'm running for King County Executive because I believe if we work together and shape effective policies, we can create a region of safety and opportunity for everyone, especially neighborhoods like this, which are very, very special. And I would love to work with you to make that happen. Affordable housing, good schools, access to public transit, mental health and addiction services, and so much more. Let's work together to build the region of safety and opportunity that we all deserve. Thank you.
Great. All right, so here we go. So now we're going to ask some questions to hear how you plan to govern, and each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer the question. All right, so I'll start. So let's begin with something that was recently in the news. In August, the King County Auditor found that the county's Department of Community and Health Services mismanaged its granting program, which may have led to tens of millions of county dollars being misused. In September, the King County Council passed legislation, and both of you were co-sponsors of this legislation, to increase oversight of the department. So, two-parter. Why do you think mismanagement happened? And what will future oversight look like? And since you've got the mic, we'll start with you.
The results of that audit were unacceptable. When you all pay tax dollars, you expect that those tax dollars are going to be protected. That is our paramount duty when you give us your tax dollars, to make sure that they are going toward producing outcomes that you want to see. And that wasn't happening with the particular contracts that were examined through that audit. Why did that happen? A number of reasons. During the pandemic, we made a policy decision to push money out quickly because a lot of communities were struggling. A lot of our grant programs and contracts grew substantially, almost doubled as reported in the Seattle Times in the span of a couple of years. And the oversight and administrative functions that are required to keep up with that and hold those programs accountable didn't grow proportionally. I think that we need to be proactive about these issues. That's why I didn't wait for the results of the audit to release my plan, my King County Delivers plan, which is a plan exclusively dedicated to government accountability, efficiency, and transparency. We released it much earlier this summer before the audit even happened, because those types of the accountability will be a central theme of my administration. It calls for things like an Office of Internal Audit that does proactive auditing across all of our departments, not just DCHS. It calls for quarterly reporting out our progress against the tax dollars that we've collected, so you can see the fruits of your labor and where your tax dollars are going. That is the type of accountability and transparency that I will demand. And of course, we also need to make sure that administration and oversight grows proportionally in a way that is responsible with any growth and grant programs. that is something that you can bet your bottom dollar will happen under my administration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a few things to add. The audit was a review of 36 contracts that were human services contracts, particularly contracts serving youth and community. And we have almost 600 contracts in this funding source. And so, first of all, we don't know the full extent of the problem. We have to finish the job of reviewing everything so that we understand all the causes and therefore we can come in with the right solutions. If you don't know what the problem is, it's hard to scale up a good solution. We do know some things. My colleague pointed to many of them. As we increase things like Best Starts for Kids, if you're familiar with that program, or Vets and Seniors and Human Services, the voters of King County are very generous. Thank you for always approving funding for services to serve people in need. But as we ramped up this funding dramatically, we didn't increase the number of people who do fiscal responsibility stuff, like training our community partners. Here's what we expect when you get a grant from us. Here's how you fill in the forms. Here's how you get the checks and how everything is done correctly. And when we don't do that, we're failing our community partners who are providing the actual services, and we're failing the community. In my career, one of the things I've done is I ran a very large reform effort in the King County jails, and I ultimately was the department director. It's a department of over $100 million. So the first thing you do is you figure out what's the problem. And then you list all the activities you need to do in order to solve the problem. And then you have to have somebody, a dedicated person, whose job it is to make sure that all those things are happening. And I think another important success factor is you need outside transparent oversight. You need to hire somebody who is outside of the control of, if I'm the executive, if that person reports to me, I get to tell them what to say. I don't want to, we need somebody on the outside who's able to be accountable to the public and very transparent. And then we report our findings to them, they report to the public and assess what we've done and whether we've been reliable with the county's tax dollars. And again, we agree completely on the fact that we cannot continue to meet the needs of this big county we serve if we don't have the trust of the public.
Great. Thank you.
Our next question is going to be, as a high school student, we want to give up. Can you hear me? Okay. As a high school student, we want to give, we want to do more community things, and we want to give back to to their services. So how are we going to do how will you engage residents to participate more in their community or in local government?
Just go back. Thank you so much for that question. It's close to my heart because I have a child who just has started college 2 weeks ago. So we had a high school student for the last 4 years. And it's so amazing. And frankly, in a really challenging time that we're all living in, like just pointing back towards Washington, D.C., to know that young people are interested in public service, are interested in helping their community. Like we have these reporters here today who are interested in uplifting their community. We absolutely, as government, have a tremendous role that we can play to support that. And I think it happens in a few different ways. First of all, just by partnering with the schools and partnering with communities in ways that help to support and fund programs that help young people be able to participate. When I was at the city of Bellevue, we created what we called wraparound services program, but it wasn't really that. It was a program where the city put city funding and staffing, embedded them in the schools. And they were there to help provide services that some families might not get, like dental vans and this sort of thing, but also to support extracurricular activities in our Title I schools that couldn't afford to fund them themselves. And that was very, very, very successful. And a lot of kids got a lot out of it at every level. It was elementary, high school, and middle school. But that we could do that because we have a city. We have a city that has city levels of funding. That's not here. And so I think the county could help to fund things like that in our unincorporated areas by partnering with the schools. I am proud to have voted in support of the budgets that include participatory budgeting and the sorts of things that the community here has decided to use that money for are amazing, like uplifting young people with job training and arts programs. I'm a big supporter and have been a champion of expanding dramatically our arts program funding that can help to create those sorts of programs. And then finally, it's not just about money, it's about time. And I have made a point in my community of always donating my time and meeting with people who want to start a program or learn about local government or even run for office someday. And so I would love to continue to work on mentorship like that personally and through my work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. One of my jobs before I was a council member was being the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Rising Leaders, which partners with young people at middle schools for their entire 7th and 8th grade years, including at nearby schools like Aki Kurosi, but multiple other cities we were managing as well. And the research that we found about how to most effectively serve students is to not teach them that they are smart or talented. These kind of fixed labels don't help empower them. What you should show them is that the issues in their community are malleable. They're things that can be fixed through problem solving, creativity, and collaboration. And so when I got into office as a council member, I launched a program called Build the Bench to train young people in how to run for office, how to advocate for themselves, what the budget looks like, so that they can have the tools in their own toolkit to solve problems in their own communities. And that's been a mindset that I've taken since being a council member. Things like participatory budgeting, where the community gets to direct how funds are spent in their neighborhoods. Things like Budget 101 town halls, where I teach our communities, this is the budget calendar. You have to come advocate long before the budget is transmitted to the council. Come advocate at the department level with the executive so they can bake your priorities into the budget before it gets transmitted. That kind of authentic partnership and empowering community is why we've had so many successes, wins after wins after wins in neighborhoods like Skyway. Authentic partnership, giving community the toolkit that they need to make their own lives better.
All right, thank you. All right, our next question. According to the King County website, an estimated 40,000 people in the county experience homelessness, and thousands more don't or can't access the shelter system or stay with friends. And then there are people who sleep on the streets or live in encampments. So this is a two-parter. Why does the county have a homelessness crisis? And what can you do to address it? You got the mic.
Answer the most complicated question.
Could you hold your mic a little closer?
Absolutely. Can you hear me now?
If you gave us 2 whole minutes to do it.
2 minutes to answer the most complicated issue. I think this is an important question that we have to answer very carefully. At a population level, we have a homelessness crisis because we have a housing crisis. That is true anywhere you go where the population outgrew the housing infrastructure at a faster pace. It's like musical chairs. Some people are going to be left out on the streets. At an individual level, it can be much more complicated. You can have any number of issues that lead to people living on the streets. It could be somebody who lost a job. It could be somebody who was rejected by their family for being gay or trans and now they're living outside. It could be somebody who faced abuse. It could be somebody who fell into addiction or other medical issues and could not pay for their life anymore. So on the population level, we have to tackle our housing crisis. That means putting more roofs over people's heads at every income level. It means building more market rate housing, more low income housing, more permanent supportive housing, more emergency housing like tiny house villages, which we've worked with this community to establish the first tiny house village ever outside of the city of Seattle, just nearby. And then at the individual level, every single person needs an individualized plan to take care of them. We need a functioning regional homelessness authority that is going to go out there, help people do outreach and get them off of the street and into a stable next step. We need to break that cycle of homelessness, addiction, crime, incarceration that seems to be a never-ending loop where people go to jail and they get kicked off of their Medicare, they lose their job, they get re-traumatized, and they're back out on the street without the actual help that they need to break that cycle. So we need a full continuum of care where somebody who leaves the jail setting has an individualized plan for what happens next. There needs to be more warm handoffs. There needs to be more connectivity across all of the assets in our region. I've been bringing people together from our housing world, from our healthcare world, from our criminal justice world, and talking about how do we form those relationships to really help people before it's too late.
I so clearly remember the first time I ever saw somebody who appeared to be homeless. I was a child, and I lived in a suburb of New York City, and I saw a woman walking, an elderly woman walking down the street wearing a house dress and flip-flops and pushing a shopping cart in the middle of the street. And I asked my mom, what's going on there? And she said, I think that person probably has nowhere to live. And this was because deinstitutionalization was happening at that time. People were rightly shutting down major mental health institutions and because they were abusive. But we did not follow through as a nation with the follow-on policies, which was community-based mental health places and care places for folks who weren't in institutions anymore. And that really, and it started in the 70s and has gotten worse and worse and worse. And I think one of the worst things we have allowed as a nation is to allow ourselves to get used to the idea that people are living on the streets. The causes are absolutely multifactorial, as my colleague said. Housing costs are directly correlated with increased homelessness. But we also have failing systems around mental health. We also have failing systems around drug addiction. We also have dramatically increasing income inequality. These are big, big problems. What the county can do, and what I would commit to work on as the county executive, is to coordinate our region to provide much more shelter. This is something that I did when I became the mayor of Bellevue. I shook hands with the mayor of Kirkland and Redmond, and we said there's no permanent shelter in East King County. None, none. Because people would say to us, you're just importing Seattle's problems. And I will tell you, as I tell my neighbors, oh no, we have been exporting our problems for a very long time. And so we created the first ever suite of homeless shelters, permanent supportive housing, and workforce affordable housing, so that we had a continuum. You can come indoors in an emergency here, here's where you go if you need supports forever, and then onward. And we pair that with services. It's easy to say. It's hard to do, can't be answered in 2 minutes, but that is the path. Thanks.
Well, thank you. I know the 2 minutes is 2 minutes, but no, you both gave us a lot of
candidate forms.
yeah, you gave us a lot of information in those 2 minutes, so that was fantastic. Thank you both. All right, now we also have some questions that come from folks, voters who registered for this forum. So we're going to sprinkle some of those questions in. All right, Hermon is going to ask the first one.
The first question is going to be, how are you going to make the roads here safer for both drivers and pedestrians?
I heard roads safer for both drivers and pedestrians, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
She said, how are we going to make the roads safer for both drivers and pedestrians? I really don't intend to start all my answers with an anecdote, but I have an anecdote, sorry. Towards the end of my time as mayor of Bellevue, we had an incident where a driver misjudged a left-hand turn, was hit in oncoming traffic and driven up onto a sidewalk where she collided with and killed a toddler in a stroller being pushed by her mother. It was devastating, as every one of these incidents, and I know there are a lot of them, especially in this area on Rainier Avenue, sorry. But what can we do? I mean, I sat down with traffic engineers as the mayor and said, what can we do? Do we have to put barriers around all of the sidewalks so that cars can't jump onto sidewalks? And so I started to dig in, and I learned about the idea of a safe system approach. And to put it in very brief terms, our current system for transportation is a fast system approach. Make the traffic go as fast as possible. Get from here to there. But when you do that, you make the most unsafe system. A safe system is a system where you acknowledge people are vulnerable, our bodies are soft and easy to break. Accidents will happen, bad judgments will be made, we make mistakes, and our system should be forgiving enough so that we survive when that happens and we're not seriously injured. So at Bellevue, I instituted a Vision Zero program. I know Seattle's got one. The county, I've proposed that the county adopt one. They haven't yet finished the study yet to do it. So we should be having a Vision Zero approach here in unincorporated King County very shortly. And it's a multifaceted thing, but it boils down to you build the system that lets the traffic go at the speed that is safe for the other people around it. If there are a lot of pedestrians in an area, the traffic should be very slow. The road should be narrower. There should be windier. You might have speed bumps. You design the system so that people aren't just something to avoid. I will stop there. Thanks.
You've heard here today that there are a number of emergencies that we have to deal with. One of the emergencies that does not get the attention it deserves is the road infrastructure crisis that we are going to be facing. By 2029, the department that's responsible for investing in roads in unincorporated areas, their capital program is going to collapse. That means they're going to run out of money to develop infrastructure for safety like you're talking about. And that is a big problem, and that's a systemic issue. We have a tax structure that doesn't allow us to keep up the revenue with the cost of maintaining these roads. We have an upside down tax structure. All of that is true. As we fix that long-term systemic issue, we absolutely have to do everything we can to cobble together the resources to prioritize areas like Skyway. That is what I have done. I have driven past neighborhoods and apartment complexes like Creston Point, one of the lowest income apartments in Washington State, where it is built on top of a highway. You drive through there and you see children spilling out into the street after they get off of their bus. It is horrifying to see. And so what I've done is work collaboratively with the WashDOT, Washington State's Department of Transportation, to elevate this issue and make sure we're building out the infrastructure we need, using participatory budgeting funding, using Washington State funding, making sure that we're designing streets more safely, cobbling together King County's limited money to build sidewalks in parts of Skyway. There are parts, you're going up the Renton Avenue Hill, you see sidewalks for the first time in those parts, because again, we cobbled together the limited resources we have to prioritize areas like this, which are urban and unincorporated, which means King County has a special obligation to areas like this. The next executive would be the mayor of this place. We cannot treat everywhere around King County the same as we treat a neighborhood like this. That is what you can count on me to do as the next executive.
All right, thank you. Here's another question from a voter, and it also ties into unincorporated areas. All right, so urban unincorporated areas like Skyway often face underinvestment compared to neighboring cities. So if elected, how will you prioritize support and resources for communities like Skyway to ensure equitable services and opportunities?
This is an important question, and unfortunately, if you read some of my colleagues' messaging, she portrays herself as this is a campaign where one of us has a track record of delivering and the other does not. Implicit in that statement is neighborhoods like this don't matter. That's what it says, because you cannot go to a corner of King County, of Skyway, without seeing the impact of our work. You can walk into a tiny house village right now that we built in collaboration with community. You can walk into a Skyway Resource Center right now that we built together as part of a collaboration. You can see sidewalks in places that did not exist before. You can see housing developments going up, both affordable home ownership and affordable rental. You can pull out your phone and hail rideshare programs that didn't exist before because of our priority and our advocacy. We need an executive that is not going to make communities like this invisible. We have a track record of delivering because we care about communities like this, and we should not tell us that somebody who has delivered for a community like this has no track record. It's really unfortunate that that is the messaging that continues to come out of my colleagues' campaign.
Repeat the question.
Thank you. Oh, sure, repeat the question. All right, urban unincorporated areas like Skyway often face underinvestment compared to neighboring cities. If elected, how will you prioritize support and resources for communities like Skyway to ensure equitable services and opportunities?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. As a former mayor of a city that had unincorporated areas inside it, the best answer for those areas was annexation, and we did annex those areas. And so now they get urban levels of support, incorporated levels, which are higher because the tax base is higher in incorporated cities. Unincorporated areas like Skyway are not on a path to annexation. There's just no current work happening in that direction anymore. There used to be. And so it is wonderful. And I want to give credit to my colleague who has been very outspoken and effective in advocating for funding for services and infrastructure in this community. We're never going to have urban levels of services in urban places like Skyway and other unincorporated urban areas until we get a tax stream that is consistent. If you can get $10 million in investment in one biennial budget, that's good. You get something new, you get sidewalks, you get that investment. How do you get the investment that brings the underinvested infrastructure up to code. It's because King County doesn't invest, doesn't have the money to, and does not invest, your infrastructure decays. That's the pipes, that's the roads, that's everything. And unless we find a way to bring that up to standard and keep it there, which means continually investing year after year regularly, it's never going, and that's just infrastructure. There's also services. You don't get the level of services in an unincorporated area that we were able to provide in a city. So what we need to be talking about, and I don't have the answer, but I know the question, where does that dedicated funding come from? Because if a city's not going to annex this area, the county has to step up to provide the appropriate level of services which currently cannot be funded. So I think we're going to have conversations. We have a King County Transportation District we've never used. We could adopt a sales tax. We are allowed by law to adopt a sales tax to pay for unincorporated roads. Is that the right thing to do? A discussion we should have.
All right, Councilmember, I don't want to give you too much more time here, but you've been using the term annexation. Could you explain what that is?
Thank you so much, sorry. Annexation is the process by which an area that is not incorporated, meaning part of a corporation that is a city, a corporate body that is a city, becomes part of a city. We annex. Or you can incorporate. You can become your own city. The city of Sammamish did exactly that. Rather than annexing to Issaquah, they decided to become a city of their own. You could become the city of Bryn Mawr Skyway if you wanted to do that. But then you have to raise your taxes and it's a lot. And so, yeah. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Now, I asked her about that. Is there anything you want to add about annexation? Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to step away from this format for a section we're calling, What Do You Know About Skyway? So this is a section on Skyway Trivia. And so we'll ask a question and give candidates 2 possible answers to choose from, an A or a B.
It gives me 50% chance.
That's right, 50-50 here.
And this is for a prize.
Okay.
Okay, so you've each got your paddles with A or B written on them, and once you choose your answers, display them, we'll say which answer is correct, and the winner gets a gift card from Nevzat's Espresso. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Which Skyway business features a restored 1953 mural that was hidden behind drywall for decades? I'll repeat it again. Which Skyway business features a restored 1953 mural that was hidden behind drywall for decades? Possible answers: A, Angel City Deli, or B, Beachcomber Sports Bar and Grill. A, Angel City Deli, B, Beachcomber Sports Bar and Grill.
So I know my role here. Do you all remember the Washington Generals?
Yes.
The basketball team that was paid to lose to the Harlem Globetrotters?
Yes, I do, yes. I grew up on the East Coast, so I know where they are. Yes, exactly. Okay, so Angel City Deli A or Beachcomber Sports Bar and Grill. We have B's. The answer is ding, 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 B. Ding, 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 ding. Great job, both of you. All right, the Beachcomber has been Skyway's local watering hole for decades, and during a 2018 remodel, the new owner found a mural after peeling back drywall behind the entire length of the bar that featured mermaids and sailors and was also signed by former patrons. There you go. All right, next question.
The second question is going to be, according to the U.S. Census, what percentage of Skyway residents identified as Black or African American? Do you want me to repeat it?
Read the question.
According to the U.S. Census, what percentage of Skyway residents identified as Black or African American? A, 18%, B, 23%. A, 18%, B, 23%.
So A, 18%, or B, 23%? All right, a B and an A, and the answer is?
B, 23%.
I did a little homework.
You better not win this.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to question 3. In what year did urban parks, including Skyway Park, become virtually abandoned by King County due to a budget crisis? requiring neighbors to step in to maintain safe access and usability. I'm going to ask this one again. In what year did urban parks, including Skyway Park, become virtually abandoned by King County due to a budget crisis, requiring neighbors to step in to maintain safe access and usability? Was it A, in 2010, or B, 2002? A, 2010, B, 2002. All right, the answer is A. It was 2010. All right.
We've had multiple budget crises.
Yes, I can imagine that might be true. I'm just going to give you a little context for this one, though. 1 year after community celebrated the development of the Skyway Park community vision, King County Executive Kurt Triplett proposed significant budget cuts for the 2010 budget year that included zeroing out general fund money for 39 parks in urban unincorporated areas like Skyway. The stated reason was essentially about inflicting punishment for the slow pace of annexation. There's that word again. Question 4. By the way, right now we're 2-2.
Ooh.
Okay, question 4. Which nearby river was rerouted in the early 1900s, causing the Black River to almost entirely disappear, rendering local Duwamish villages uninhabitable and forcing them to leave lands their ancestors had occupied for millennia? The question again. Which nearby river was rerouted in the early 1900s, causing the Black River to almost entirely disappear, rendering local Duwamish villages uninhabitable and forcing them to leave lands their ancestors had occupied for millennia? Is it A, the Cedar River, or B, the Green River? A, Cedar River, B, Green River.
Is that a total guess?
All right, we got a B and an A. The answer is A, Cedar River. All right. We're going to go to the next question because we can say a lot more about that, but we're going to go to the next one, all right? Okay, great.
The last question is going to be, the Skyway grocery outlet has been featured on TV's evening magazines for its unique themes and sizzling array of museum-like display. What is the theme? I'm going to say it again. The Skyway grocery outlet has been featured on TV's evening magazines for its unique themes and sizzling arrays of museums-like displays. What is the theme? A, military history, B, music and movies.
The answer
The
is...
answer is B.
And I think I got 50%, so there you go.
That's pretty good. So 4-3.
All right.
3-4. All right. Thank you very much for participating in our Skyway Trivia. What do you know about Skyway? All right,
That was
now we're going to
riveting.
get back to our questions.
You got it.
All right, they're working out something nice over here with this.
I want Claudia to try Nevzat's coffee.
Thank you very much. I can buy somebody a cup of coffee. Somebody who doesn't live around
Maybe
here.
1 minute for these questions.
Sure. All right, we're looking at our time here. So I know we had 2 minutes in the first round. We're gonna give you 1 minute in this round. All right. Ooh. All right. Here we go. And we're gonna again start off with Hermon's gonna start this round.
Thank you. And how do you stay connected to the needs of King County residents?
How do I stay connected to the needs of King County residents? I have been an elected official in King County for about 20 years. I started out advocating for my own neighborhood, and then I became a citywide elected official, and now I have a county district. And I have always tried to be in community personally as much as possible. Go to events, go to schools, go to churches, and meet with the people. I have done a Saturday morning coffee hour for probably the last 15 years, where anybody who wants to can come and sit and have coffee. And I do that because I learn so much from it. Because I learn what is going on, not just from advocacy groups or people who know how to reach me at my downtown office, but people who can come to a coffee shop in the community. one of the wonderful things about this campaign has been getting out of my district and going all around this huge county and learning and meeting people elsewhere. It's a big county. I don't know if I'm going to be able to one at a time at coffee meetings, but I do think that personally being in community is the only way to really stay in touch with what's going on.
Thank you.
A really funny thing happened to me last week. Seattle Times is covering our campaigns, and they researched their archives, and they found an old photo of me based on a journalist's story about Rainier Vista in 2001. And they sent me a picture that they found, and it was like, Girmay Zahilay, age 14, and you look at the picture, and I have my earrings and my silver chain and my jersey, and it's really funny. But I bring that up because as somebody who grew up in these neighborhoods, who is connected to so many of the people who have experienced all the challenges that we're trying to solve for, whether it's homelessness or gun violence or lack of after-school activities, I still am in relationship with all those people that I grew up with. I see people that I know personally who are living out on the street, and I can visualize all the different checkpoints of intervention that could have happened in that person's life before they ended up in that situation. I have staff members who've been shot, or their family members have been shot. And so these are situations that never leave me. I'm always on the phone with people. I'm always in collaboration with them. I always have boots on the ground, and that's what type of executive that I will be.
Thank you so much. And here's a question from a voter. Unincorporated King County neighbors Skyway and Y Center has large immigrant and refugee populations. And ICE has privatized or likely will many in our communities when they grab our neighbors from our streets. And to provide some context, in July, identified people in masks grabbed a woman in Y Center, put her in the back of a vehicle and drove away. What can and will the candidates do as executive to ensure Skyway and Y Center are safe from the Trump administration's immigration policies?
Thank you so much. I know a lot of people are afraid right now. I actually personally had a cousin who was deported by ICE recently, and it's devastating. Families get torn apart, and I know that is a story shared amongst countless people across King County. I'm glad that we live in a state that has values, that has laws that reflect our values. Keep Washington Working directs local governments like King County to not collaborate with or facilitate the unjust actions of ICE. And I would not be passive about that. I would proactively train our sheriff's deputies not to make immigration-related arrests. I would make sure that our corrections officers in our jails are not holding people in our jail for immigration-related charges. We would make sure that we continually safeguard personally identifiable information and be very rigorous about that so that we're not sharing information with ICE, personally identifiable information with ICE. Those are commitments that you can count on for me as King County Executive. And of course, we have a lot of community-based organizations that are supporting those most vulnerable communities, and we have to put public investment behind them.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're hearing this in all parts of the county, actually, this fear and increasing anecdotes about people being just taken away without any process at all. And unfortunately, I think we can expect it to increase. When I was last in the executive branch, I was part of the movement to change our code so that we actually do not cooperate with ICE when it comes to holding people in our jails. We don't do that for ICE. That's not our job. I think what government needs to do and what the executive needs to do is everything we can to make sure government is accessible and safe so that we post know your rights and signs in places where people come. You don't have to let ICE in to every place, and we should make sure that we don't let them in where we don't have to. We should educate people what their rights are when and if something happens. We have to work through trusted community partners and fund those community partners, because when a family is afraid that ICE is coming for them, they're not going to call the police. They're not going to call me even as the county executive, but they might call Central Cultural Mexicano in my district and talk to them. And so we have to work with them so they can help people directly deal with this. Sorry, I'm going on too long. A minute is very short.
A minute is short,
I
agreed.
apologize.
And I know it's a big job, but thank you for your answers, both of you.
All right, in 2023, BIPOC people, or Black, Indigenous people of color, accounted for close to 37% of the county's population. Historically speaking, Black and brown folks have disproportionately suffered from the impacts of climate change. So we have this question from an attendee. How will you further environmental justice efforts, particularly in the Duwamish Valley, if you are elected?
Thank you very much. So there's many answers I'm going to focus on too. First of all, a huge part of climate impacts now are unavoidable. We have reached the point where impacts are happening. We will not stop them all. So we have to focus on resilience and helping people respond to the impacts of climate change. And what that looks like in the Duwamish Valley is increased water flows, stormwater pollution, erosion, wastewater treatment plant overflows, water quality problems. That's King County's job. That is our job. We need to invest in those things in this area so that we maintain water quality as it continues, as the water rises. The second thing I'd like to say is we need to be much more transparent and accountable about the outcomes of our efforts. What are our goals? Are our goals to make sure that we are uplifting communities in certain definable ways? Are we doing that? We don't know. We don't have really good reporting on what we're doing. We have good goals, we have funding, we need to report on outcomes. And so that is how you know you're getting what we say we're going to deliver.
Thank you so much. It's interesting in neighborhoods like this, when you're growing up in areas like this, you feel you don't understand how everything is connected to the bigger picture. When I was growing up in New Holly and in Skyway, my brother had asthma. And then when I grew up and looked at the data, you see higher incidence of asthma in neighborhoods like this. And that's not an accident, that's a policy choice, because these neighborhoods tend to have more pollution and lack environmental justice. And that knowledge has driven my commitment to communities like this. When I first got on the council, I worked with airport communities to make sure that airport emissions are baked into our strategic climate action goals, because we know that airport emissions are impacting neighborhoods like Skyway. I worked to pass the extreme weather mitigation policy, because we know that neighborhoods like this lack tree infrastructure, and it gets really freaking hot in the summer because we lack that kind of tree canopy and the infrastructure needed for people to be healthy. And that work has resulted in more climate resilience hubs, and we need more of that. We need to make sure that our next executive has that perspective and that priority of neighborhoods like this.
Okay, thank you both. All right, being King County Exec means being an administrator who oversees more than 17,000 county employees. So this is a two-parter question about how you see yourself as a boss. So tell us about a skill you possess that makes you a good boss, and tell us about a skill you possess that you need to improve to make you a better boss.
Job interview.
Yes, job interview.
Okay. Can we have a moment to think about this one?
You can have 15 seconds to think about it.
Let's see. Okay, I'll start off with the positive, because that one is easier and I want to share that with all of you. Maybe I don't want to share the other one with you. I believe what makes me an effective boss is that I see the people who are working for me as human beings, not as machines who are out there to do my bidding. I try to understand what their family structure is like. I try to understand the impact of the workload on them. I try to understand the stress on them. And I think that's why the vast majority of labor unions that have endorsed in this race have endorsed our campaign. We also have the sole endorsement of MLK Labor, which represents 220,000 workers across King County. Now, what do I think I need to improve on? I think my campaign chair, Susie Levine, who's in the audience, would probably say I need to be a better delegator. I try to do lots of work on my own, and I try to think about how my delegation is going to impact other people, and maybe that can sometimes stagnate the process.
I'm really proud of, in my career, how I've been able to put together teams that are really effective, that people of high, different experiences, different educational backgrounds, different expertise, and then make them into a team that can really deliver on things. And as an example, when I was the mayor of Bellevue, I got to hire a new city administrator, and then he got to hire with our approval, a new police chief, a new finance director, and we've put together this whole team, and it really worked incredibly well. And I pride myself on that ability to put together a great team, because a county executive is sure going to need a great team. In terms of where I could improve, I've done a lot of things in my life, and in most of my jobs up until I reached upper levels of management, I was a sole contributor. So I got used to doing everything myself, and I can be a little bit particular about how I think things should be done. So I have a hard time like letting fingers off the keyboards, or sort of not just telling people how to do things and empowering them. And I just will add, because my colleague said this, I am also endorsed by many, many labor unions, including the unions representing the vast majority of King County employees who I'll be the next boss.
Thank you.
And now, as we reach our close of our community forum and conversations, we'd love to have each candidate offer a closing statement. Each candidate will have 1 minute.
1 minute, yes.
Well, I'm just going to say thank you. This has been a really great opportunity. I hope to come back and visit with this community again and have more of a dialogue. What I love about my Saturday coffees is hearing from the community, not just talking to the community. And so I hope to do that some more. And I will say thank you so much to South Seattle Emerald and to the West Hill Community Association. One of the things I've done is I helped to found a neighborhood association in my community, which was the late annexation to Bellevue, and therefore a little underserved ourselves. And I used to do the candidate forums. So I have a great deal of empathy and respect for what it takes to do this. Thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you more. Thanks.
I want to thank the whole community for showing up today as well. I want to thank the South Seattle Emerald. I want to thank Albert Talley High School. I want to thank our moderators. Give them a round of applause, everybody. I want to thank my colleague Claudia for being here. It is absolutely a rare opportunity that we get a new King County executive. It hasn't happened for 16 years, and this is a chance for us to shape how the whole region prioritizes and uplifts neighborhoods like Skyway. If you have felt that as your representative on the King County Council, I have been a good partner to many of the amazing organizations who are doing great work here to deliver on housing, mental health services, recreational activities for youth, imagine what we can do together if you elect me as King County Executive. Thank you so much for your time. I hope I can earn your vote.
On behalf of the South Seattle Emerald, I'm Florangela Davila. I'm the executive director. Sure. I'm the executive director and with the Emerald. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for spending your Saturday here with us. We were really intentional with the West Hill Community Association to provide you this opportunity to meet your council members, to meet these candidates. We did it in Skyway. We believe strongly that Skyway needs more attention, and that's the kind of journalism that we pledge to do. If you support us, if you don't know about us, we have these great postcards at the end of the table where Megan is. We also have these great stickers, and we need to know how to do better journalism for you. So let us know. I'm going to throw this to Devin, our partner today.
Sure. All right, well, thank you everybody so much for coming. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, Team Emerald. Thank you, Team West Hill Community Association. Thank you, Amani Tompkins, our wonderful violin virtuoso, and all of our fantastic restaurants. We do have some to-go containers. We want people to leave with food. If any food is left on that table, we've not done our job. That goes for everybody. If you want to stop by our blue tablecloth right here, we have a lot of events and fun things coming up. We're here to connect the community. We're here for you. So we would love to talk to you, tell you about what we got coming up. And with that, a big thank you to the King County Voter Education Fund, which is King County Elections and Seattle Foundation, made this possible. Thank you so much. We're going to keep doing this work. If y'all haven't registered to vote, we are going to do that today. Don't leave without it. If you want to pressure your friends and family to register to vote, we've got the swag over there. Okay? All right. So we'll come see you over at that table. Thank you so much, y'all. probably not coming for your job. Do you mind taking one step back towards? Thank you so much. That's
Devin, let's get in this one afterwards.
Okay, ready? Ready? Perfect. Who said we're gonna jump in? Yes. Devangela. That's your guys'
Devangela. Okay.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, look at this camera. Thank you so much. Thank you.